Hey, welcome back. It's the Jack and Jer and Alan podcast. Today, you see, we have a third, or not a third guest. We have a guest, a third person of the podcast today. If you didn't notice, this is our top watcher, our top commenter. We've been telling you, comment our shows. Let us know what you want to hear about. We might have you on a show. Alan took the challenge. He commented. He said, number one fan. We asked him to be on, and Alan is on. So who is Alan? Is he just some random guy who watches YouTube? He is not. Alan is, I'm not going to say my favorite student because I have other students who might get offended, but he was one of my favorite students. Taught him in 8th grade, 9th grade, I think 11th grade. He was too smart for me by 12th grade, but I was still like teaching some of his peers. He was one of our top like scholars, got a lot of scholarships to UVA. I believe he got a full ride. He'll explain a little bit more, but he's so humble, he might not mention that. He's a very accomplished person, and I'm glad to have him on the show. Alan, you want to introduce yourself? Have anything to say?
Yeah, that's pretty much, you got me. You know, talk a little bit more and learn some more. But
yeah,
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome to have Alan. We may need to poke him a little bit to get some information. We were talking before we started recording, and talking about a lot of interesting things and Alan's journey a little bit and what he's doing. And he just completely refused to admit that this guy is killing it. He graduated college, taught himself how to code, already making income outside of the 9-to-5 hamster wheel. He's on his way to setting himself up to future success. So, it took a little bit of prodding to get some of this information out of him because the man's way too humble. But, we're hoping that we're going to have a really good conversation. And it's a real pleasure to meet you, Alan.
You too, Jack.
Awesome. So something that struck me with Alan, aside from being just like getting high marks in test scores and all of that, is he had a lot of mentors throughout high school, and I believe he did throughout college as well, and probably still does now. I see myself more as like a peer of Alan. I feel like we're on the same level, but in some aspects even I think I might mentor him a little bit. We were actually just talking before Jack even got in. He was telling me how some advice I gave him was the absolute wrong advice to give him. It was about XRP, if anyone's interested. But what's it called? So he in high school had Big Brothers Big Sisters, I believe, which is like a cool mentorship problem. He also, though, was like interning at a magazine, and I feel like from an outside standpoint, this magazine internship really developed relationships with successful people in all different industries and from different backgrounds. And from my standpoint, it looks like that really set him up professionally, and maybe that's part of why he presents himself so well now, why he's so mature with some of his habits and all of that. I guess, Alan, do you want to comment on that a little bit?
I was talking about this.
Motivos?
I was talking about Motivos. I would definitely agree. Like, Motivos is definitely. So basically, what Motivos is, it's a bilingual youth magazine. It's written by youth for youth. It's just youth advice, career advice, college advice, things like that. And I just worked one-on-one with the founder, great lady, Janae. She founded the magazine from the ground up. It's been going on for 10 years. She makes a lot of sponsors and things like that. And basically, I got the internship through an internship placement course at Mastery, where Margin teaches that. And definitely, it wasn't what I wanted at first. I was like super into science, super into technology, and like writing in magazines and publishing was just not my lane at all. But like, I quickly learned that like writing in words and the nuances of words and how it's important to get your concise thoughts across, and all like those things that people really don't value as far as language and just communication in general. I learned all that through the magazine. It's just perfecting editorials, doing interviews, just being on time for things, and just being a good journalist in general. And when just like we was talking about earlier, Jack, being in the Motivos is an organization that I could definitely see I had a lot of impact as far as taking it off the ground. Like, first 2 months in, I was on the front of the magazine, conducting interviews in New York, traveling way more than the average 10th grader was traveling at the time. And that was just from my effort and enthusiasm. And that was just the first time I knew that all my effort can translate into real results, and it could get me far. It could really like impress people that I didn't really think that I should be impressing at the time. So I definitely still talking to the founder today. I still mentor the new kids and teach them how to write, and even tell them like, yeah, I used to type my editorials on my phone, and y'all complaining about typing editorials on a laptop, like, because that's, you know, what I had to do back in the day when, like, not having Wi-Fi or whatever. It was just, that's how dedicated I was, even taking the magazine to another level, like not even having the resources to even properly, you know, be a big part of the team, but actually leading the team from my phone and typing up like half the edition for the next 2 years and things like that. And that just really, you know, put Motivos in a better spot and just, you know, helped it get in a way that a lot of people didn't view it before I joined the team.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Alan. I'd love to dive a little bit more into that. So, you know, the first question is, when you were there, the founder, he or she, did she serve in a mentor role to you? And if so, what was that process like? Was it formal, informal? Like, how was it like learning underneath someone, especially, you know, when you're still in high school and a lot of people weren't even thinking about like setting up a real mentorship?
Yeah, so the founder, Janae, she's an amazing lady. She's extremely energetic, extremely enthusiastic about her work, extremely passionate. And that's one of the first people I really seen extremely passionate about the work that they were doing. And everything she does is just to help kids make better decisions in education, in their career, and in their life, their social life, things like that. And she was the person who interviewed me to get inside the magazine to join the team, and she pretty much said like, "Oh, this kid's sharp," from the interview, like hired me like right on the spot, and like just had me doing so many assignments that I just wasn't really used to doing. Like if we would go to like a fundraising event, she's like, go talk to that guy, and he'd be like a millionaire, and I'm just having just a regular conversation, but she wouldn't tell me like the status of the guy just to get me comfortable talking to anybody. And that's something that teenagers really don't learn. You really don't learn how to have small talk or just go up and approach somebody or exchange information, share contact information, network, and build. And she just threw me out there, you know, and that's definitely like a really cool philosophy regarding mentoring, but I definitely appreciated it. She, you know, just put me in the field with, you know, going to different colleges and talking to different administrators. And I'm 16 years old, you know, just barely can even talk right, but I'm still just using my confidence to, you know, get my points across, and just learning from the magazine, learning from her and watching her network. And that's definitely something I'm, you know, carrying to my adulthood, you know? Yeah.
So it sounded like almost like Mr. Miyagi, you know, I might be dating myself, like Karate Kid, wax on, wax off, like, and like, you know, teaching you without even knowing that you're teaching you. So it's like, was that part of her style? She was like, yo, I'm going to put Alan in front of people. He's going to learn these things. He's not even going to know what he's learning, and he's going to be able to look back on this and start building and recognize that he's building the skills.
But that's the thing, though. She like it's like I always had to just kind of like, I was never like scared of any situation. Like I've always, even in school, like yeah, Mario, like I always just, you know, I was never like shy to do anything. I never was shy to talk about anything. And I think she like realized that
teachers throw stuff at them.
Well, Jeremy, if you were my teacher, I'd be throwing stuff at you too, man.
Alan was really good at throwing calculators.
Live. But back to Janae, she, you know, when she was putting me out there to talk to people, she was like really impressed how well I was carrying myself. She was expecting me to get thrown off, like, oh, he's probably going to, you know, mess up here or study here or whatever. And I was just, you know, completely just talking to anybody or getting any assignments or conducting any interview on my own. And like one thing that, you know, I definitely brought to any team that I was a part of was that I would always do work outside of work. Like if I'm a part of something, I'm thinking about it all the time. You know, I'm thinking about it when I wake up, when I go to sleep, until we get that goal accomplished, until we do something that we never set before. And that was just something, like I said, I always applied that to other organizations. Now I'm finally doing it for myself, you know?
So one more question then, Jeremy, I don't want to hog all the spotlight. So is there an example of something that either you learn or you do now that you can trace back to what you learned from Jeanette?
Jeanette, yeah.
Jeanette, sorry.
Oh, wait, yeah, love what you do. She loves it. She I feel like her enthusiasm keeps her going through the hard work, through the hours long mentoring and publishing, things like that. And like I said, she was the first person I've ever heard of, like still to this day, one of the only people I know who likes their job, who enjoys what they do, and actually being a business owner and controlling your income and setting your own hours, but also loving it at the same time, because you set up your project around a passion and around the issue that she thought was, important, like youth education, youth, career improvement, things like that. That, even a lot of people in community organizations don't really focus on. She's doing on her own by like one person team. It's just her and high schoolers, like a 10-year long magazine, just one lady and a bunch of high schoolers. And the magazine comes out. It's been coming out 4 times a year for the last 10 years. And, everyone loves it. So I feel like doing something that is providing a significant a solution, a significant help to a group of people while also loving it, that's definitely a place of life I want to be.
Nice.
I like it all. I guess I'm gonna give Alan a little bit of a break. He's killing it with all these questions. I'm loving hearing all this. I'm gonna frame some questions for Jack, I guess. I want to know, do you have any mentors, or have you had any mentors, and how did you seek them out? And like, do you continually seek out new mentors, or do you kind of just wait for one to like kind of show up?
I definitely recommend you can't wait for a mentor. It's like you'll just wait your whole life. I was really lucky that for my startup, I was through happenstance introduced to a couple of people that started advising the startup, and then inadvertently started kind of advising me, especially as the time came for me to eventually leave. But it's still something I'm working on. It's still something I'm working on in the sense of finding people and actually setting up some type of structure with them. And it may not be like true, like, oh, we'll meet, once a week, once a month or something like that. But having the intention of, this is someone who I look up to for these reasons. I need to find ways to like stay a part of their life, add value however I can, because they can teach me. And there's so many things to learn. You can talk about like professionalism. You can talk about taking care of your mind and your body. Talk about just like they have a wealth of knowledge or experiences to draw upon. So it's something that I now, over the past like really 4 months or so, have been very active on. And I think there are a couple of people that probably don't even know that they're mentoring me. But it's also something where I think that you can learn a lot from the people around you, and they don't necessarily need to be like older than you. And something that I've really doubled down upon now that I'm kind of doing my own thing, or I am completely doing my own thing, is giving everyone the time of day, and treating everyone with respect, and like reconnecting with as many people as possible. And by no means do I mean like, was I disrespectful to people, but like there's so much I'm learning from people my age and younger than me that have pursued other passions and careers. And even though maybe I don't need to know their technical expertise, learning how they handle the problems in front of them, or how they network their ways into certain situations, there's a lot to learn from that. So it's something that as I continue to grow, I try to be like very aware of that, like that I really can learn something from almost anyone, and anyone can serve in a almost like pseudo mentorship role if you're actually willing to like get on a call and talk to them and listen to what they have to say and their experiences.
So would you, I agree with that, but like sometimes, let's say the person you might want to mentor you, or you might seek information from, is so busy, or you don't have access to them. Would it be okay, do you think, to like try and reach people to become mentors, or is it something that's like you should kind of use from the network that you already have?
So the older I get, the more I realize that when people say the most precious resource in the world is time, it's completely true. And so if people are really busy, you have to respect that. And it doesn't mean you ignore it, but it means that if you're going to reach out to them, you need to have a very concrete, succinct ask. It can't just be like, can you mentor me? It needs to be, I would like to learn from you because of these reasons, and I think this is what I can learn. And so you're not actually asking them to, quote, mentor you. You're asking them to help guide you, to like teach you certain things. And if you can frame in my opinion, and from my experiences, if you can frame things in a little bit more of that direction, where instead of you're just asking them this abstract, like, yeah, can you mentor me? Like, how do I become a better person? Like, instead of like something like that, it's like, okay, how did you learn about real estate? How did you learn about investing? How did you learn about this? How did you learn to take care of yourself? How did you navigate all these relationships? How did you navigate being super busy, but at the same time, like building a family and like still being able to be, present with the people that you love? Like actually like figuring out the value that you think you can gain from talking to them, I think can really help frame the way that you ask them. And by having a much more clear ask instead of just like help and guidance, then I think it actually allows them to more easily understand the value that they can provide without them having to waste their own time, which is limited.
Definitely, it makes a lot of sense. I agree that a lot of people might be thrown off when you just like message them and say, "Hey, I need a mentor," because that just sounds like more work. But when you give them something direct that you might be seeking from them to help with, they'll realize they're not like putting in more work. They're just going to show you a little secret here or there. I'm going to segue into back into Alan, so he's back onto the hot seat. So another great accomplishment and great fact I like to share about Alan is
Am I ready?
Alan won. I call it Stomp the Yard competition at school. He was the head like clapping and dancing or whatever.
Okay. Let's be respectful. It's my fraternity. Okay.
So Alan, do you have upcoming stompers who seek you out as a mentor? But not in a joke way. Do you have anyone from UVA or even from Mastery who you kind of have become a mentor for and like and tell them kind of how to do what you did?
I mean, I would say my mentorship was definitely more of a in-person kind of thing. I've never like actually seek mentor. Like, I mean, I've done mentorship programs before, but for like high schoolers. But as far as like people closer to my age, I've never like actively, okay, you're my mentee, I'm teaching you A, B, and C. But I always made sure to like lead like a good example of people who I could clearly see like watch my moves or observe me and things of that nature. But and then people young that went to college with me also like say like, oh yeah, they ask me for advice and I would give advice on those fronts. But I also wanted to say like while Jack was talking, like I definitely think a big part of finding a good mentor and having a solid mentorship relationship is being a good mentee. And I think that's definitely something that's not really focused on when someone is searching for a mentor. Is like, do you have a really good work ethic? Are you on time? Are you a good person to spend time with? Are you teachable? Like things like that. And those are things that a mentor, like you were saying, like if they're busy, it's more hard work to work with somebody who doesn't have a bunch of good, malleable characteristics that you can teach and work with and give advice to. Because like you said, with Martin said with Big Brothers Big Sisters, a bunch of people in my grade had a big brother that worked at Ernst & Young consultant that could help us with a bunch of resources, things like that. But a lot of kids really weren't focused in school, so their mentors didn't take the time out to take them to college tours and take them on outside trips and to learn about other things outside of the program. Mine saw that I was really dedicated to my college journey and trying to just get scholarships and things like that. He made sure he was a good person to facilitate that with. Like he helped me, he drove me down to college, helped me move in and things like that, because you see that it's a worthy investment and worthy of his time to do this for somebody who's taking all these things serious.
So Alan, those are all great points. I want to dive a little bit deeper. So from your experience, either being the mentee or having mentored other people or talking to people that are in these types of relationships, for the mentees out there, what advice do you have to either build that mentor relationship or to make sure your mentor can or will take you seriously? Like how do you make sure that you're going about the relationship in the right way?
I would certainly say, and may kind of cheesy, but I would say be impressive. Like, just stand out from your peers. Stand out in a way that would make someone feel a satisfaction, like when they decide to come help you. Like, my mentors like to see me like be successful from their efforts that they like applied into me, because if they just applied effort and time into me and nothing happened, then it would kind of be disappointing on both sides. Whether like mentors like to admit it or not, they want to see their, investment of their time, blossom into something great, And by being impressive, just standing out from your peers, or like just applying yourself to something in a way that most people aren't. Of course, I feel like a mentor would probably seek you out, like, oh, let me kind of fine tune you in a way that to help you get exactly where you want to get to, because I know exactly where you're trying to go,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Following up on that point, almost on the negative side of it, what things have either you done or you experienced where you're like, this person's not worth my time, or you blew a chance with that mentor?
I can honestly say I have forgiving mentors. Like I have made mistakes in the past, but one that's coming to me right now is that I was on a cycling team in high school as well, and it was like a citywide cycling team, and we did a lot of youth leadership building things, and we had a big gala with a bunch of like millionaires, donors to the program, and we had a photo booth, and we just having fun as kids. I put some hand gestures in and kind of made everything look bad, And I was seeing the screenshots afterwards. It was awful. I had to send like a long letter out to all the donors and things like that. And yeah, they made me make it up. So like after that, I was, after I got accepted in college, got the Gates scholarship, all those things, they decided to, use me as the poster boy. I had to give a bunch of speeches all the time, and really had to fix my image again because I did make the organization look bad. And that was just whatever immature, momentary decision. But, I definitely learned from it, because, you have to make up for the mistakes you make, especially with your mentors. If you want them to keep, being in your life, you could burn the bridge or you could fix it,
Reminds me of when you fell in the lake when it was like 2 degrees. Remember that?
Yeah, what? Yeah. What
you had to make up your reputation then too.
I did. Okay.
But it sounds like you owned that mistake though. It sounds like that was like the first step. Yeah.
Immediately. No, I immediately I'll send a letter out on my own from my own email. Like, and I'm like 14, 15. I just know that I shouldn't have been doing that dressed up at a donor gala. And like I said, after that, I started giving a lot of speeches to even Mayor Nutter at the time. I met him, and it's just like all the skills I learned from Motiva just translated into cycling, and just using all those public speaking skills and things like that. And they really was like, oh wow, he can, really, he's really more of it. Like I messed up the image at first, but then like they saw like on my like recovery, my recovery tour, like, oh, he's really good at public speaking and talking to people and donors, and he can really, get more money into the program. And that's exactly what I started doing after that.
Sorry, it makes, just real quick, makes me think of maybe another benefit, potential benefit of having a mentor is sometimes I bet if you made that mistake and you weren't as involved with these organizations, you wouldn't have even had like the chance to say sorry or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think being connected to people in higher places, sometimes like that connection gives you like a little bit of leeway in itself. Maybe not in that situation, but I think sometimes mentorships can really even help just from being the connection, not even from anything like substantive from it.
Yeah.
It looks like Jack might be frozen, so we will wait for him to come.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I think Jack's frozen, but I think he's coming back, or he just came back in on another.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry about that.
No, all good. We got 2 screens of you up. Now we're back to 1. So just sharing like another potential benefit of mentorship. You were gonna have a question for Alan. Did you remember what it was?
Yeah. So this is something I wanted to touch on because I have firsthand experience with this. I visited my high school a while ago to talk to them, and I remember like I gave them my cards that had my email on it. And Alan, this is something I wanted to get your opinion on. We talked earlier about the importance of writing and like how it really is like an art, and how, in my opinion, like well written things can be like super impressive, even if on the surface it isn't. And so combining that with like emailing, especially with how like just the way the world is right now, like, everyone's so accessible if you have their email. And I kind of wanted to get your opinion on this. I got an email after that from a kid in the class, and man, the thing was only a couple sentences long, but it must have had 50 mistakes in it, typos, grammar, just like words like misspelled. And maybe you can touch upon that a little bit, where it's like, yo, like I was only 5 years older than these kids, so it's not like I have that professor teacher like persona. And by all means, I was really trying to just relate to everyone. But maybe you can touch upon how important it is, where even if like you're just sending that email, like making sure things are right leaves such an important impression where like it makes that person think that responding and I did respond, of course, but like that person is worthy of your time because they clearly take presenting themselves seriously.
Yeah, honestly, I would say like definitely in Motivos, like things don't get published with any errors, any blemishes at all whatsoever. So that was kind of something I perfected there. But I learned like later on in life, like even like speaking in like professional like ways, like emails or notes or voicemail, thing like that. Those are important as well. Or even if like for instance, one of my professors, he preferred to be called Dr. such and such. He didn't. If you didn't say Dr. such and such, it would be an issue. So those were kind of things you had to remember, like in professional like sentence and things like that. And he probably would start treating you differently based on the way that you approached him. And like with Motivos, I was translating my writing skills to like grant proposals and interview requests, and all those things was pretty much like 99% and 100% marked, because I was always crafting my message as well as possible, like proofreading my message. And even the back-to-back dialogue, when you do reach out to somebody, that matters too. Like even if the person's being a little rude, you have to always make sure like you're getting your exact point across, listen to what the other person has to say, and making sure like each side has a mutual understanding, because a lot of things are just miscommunication. And just because I wrote it a little wrong, like with the typo, he probably like meant something and it didn't come out right, and now you have a whole different perception on what the whole email's about. So
yeah, I was just
yeah,
to say, like taking pride in everything you're doing, like what you're talking about
Yeah.
with these grants that you write, like treat everything, whether it's like an email to like a mentor, is like something that represents yourself well.
hmm
I love it. What's called? I think I'd like to hear something that maybe one of you guys learned this week. If you guys have anything you learned this week, Alan, we didn't really prep you with that, but I know you're smart enough to just come up with something. Is there? Usually we like to come with something just like you learned this week that you thought was interesting. It could be a current event, or it could be just a random fact, whatever it might be. Do you have anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, you can come to me last. I'm trying to think right now.
All right. Well,
Jeremy,
I would like.
lead the way. Yeah.
I'll share. It's not really a fun fact, but something I'm fascinated by. I feel like I've shared a few things about similar things in previous episodes, but the helicopter for the Mars lander, the thing that landed on Mars. I'm like blanking on the name. Curiosity, maybe it was, or Endeavor, whatever it is. But there's a helicopter that's attached to it that will be flying this week for the first time. So it's the first time we're going to be operating an aircraft on another planet. And I just think that that's absolutely fascinating, that like someone is controlling a machine millions of like miles away, or hundreds of thousands of miles away, that literally there's like a 10-minute lag even in the controller between like the controller and when it responds. I think is just fascinating, and like all of the data that's come out of the Mars landing has just been fascinating. The first time ever wind was recorded on Mars, pretty cool. It's been like driving around and you can hear like the wheels hitting the rocks, pretty cool. But a lot of like just fascinating information coming out of Mars, and that's something I've been keeping track of this whole year. And I guess just this is a fun fact, it's nothing new this week, but this year we'll be launching a new telescope into space, right now we have like the Hubble telescope. That's what everyone hears about. There's this new telescope that's going to be like anchored behind like Earth in the shadows in the super cold area. That's going to make everything we've seen like 10 times clear and 10 times far. And I'm excited to see what that's going to bring. It's called the James Webb Telescope. So look out for it coming later this year. One of you guys, let's hear it.
I think I got one.
All
Yeah, so among my peers of college graduates and, liberals and stuff like that, like they're really opposed to like the thinking of like, forget a job, there's other ways to make money and live. They're super cookie cutter type, people. And I came across this it was an Instagram post from the Bloomberg Business, and it was a Goldman Sachs analyst or researchers that said the average college grad that goes into like a six-figure job, recent graduate, is having an average work week of 95 hours or more.
Yeah.
And that's just crazy. There's only 168 hours in a week, and it's just crazy to me after like I came to this, decision to like stop pursuing the whole employment thing a couple months ago. There's just like more and more evidence and more reasons to not even jump into the game that is, employment and working for a boss, so that I feel like just the numbers, the 95 hours out of 160 hours is spent working, and it's just crazy to me, right?
Yeah, no, that is a crazy fact, and I feel like it's like kind of only getting worse and worse because I don't know why people do it. I guess because people are willing.
I really feel like they're supposed to. It's a heavy supposed to thing, Like if I'm not doing this, what am I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
I think that's a whole other conversation I'd love to get into, where part of me thinks it's not just supposed to, it's like belief. Like if you don't believe that there is another path, then you're going to stick to the one you're on. And like, I'm just a firm believer that that's like one of the problems we have in society. Like people just don't believe that there's like better opportunities out for them. So they just like follow the same, rat race that everyone else is following because that's what they're used to. And that's just my own, thought process. But
if you worked minimum wage that many hours, you'd make over 70 grand a year. So it's not even that much better than like minimum wage. It's just pretty interesting to think about.
Yeah. I don't want to bullshit any of you guys. I don't have anything on top of my head. I can read off some of my Stoic lessons of the week because I've been diving into Stoicism. But
I love Stoic.
You guys, well, I don't want to whatever. I don't want to bore you guys. But another time, I'll be more prepared another time. So sorry to disappoint whoever.
I love Stoic quotes. I wanted to hear one. Give us one quote.
All right. Well, so let me get to this so I can say this right. So from the Roman satirist Juvenal, he has a quote that says, "Who watches the watchmen?" And what that really means is what's influencing the ruling reason that guides us, or you can take it more deliberately, like who's like if the government's watching us, like who's watching the government, like we're supposed to be watching the government, something like that. But more stoic, more interpersonal, it's or intra, I guess. It's easy to make good decisions when you feel like it, but when you don't and you don't feel like it, how often are you reflecting on what makes you not feel like it? So like when things are going well and the watchman's like doing his job, like things are great. But like if the watchman doesn't feel like doing it, who's going to be the one to scrutinize the watchman and be like, hey, you got to step it up to gear. So when things are going well, like, yeah, you do what you're supposed to do. But when things aren't going well, do you have the wherewithal to recognize the stimuluses that are making you feel like you're not in the mood anymore?
Very true. Very true. I like it. Thank you for sharing that. We almost missed that. I'm glad we didn't because that's something I would like to think a little bit more upon and
it's relevant.
Marinate in my head. Awesome. Alan, thanks for being the first ever guest on the Jack and Jared podcast. When we have more than 10 viewers, we're going to tell everyone all about you.
The first one.
No, yeah. Thank you. Everyone else, thanks for watching. Like and comment.
Oh, we got viewers? There's viewers.
Yeah, we got a
Yeah,
couple
we got viewers.
and
I've been in Florida. People have been telling me they're watching this stuff, but they don't
Hell
sign
yeah.
into YouTube to
And-
like it or whatever.
Wow.
Get on YouTube.
if-
Sign up. Let's go.
if someone
Wow.
else likes and comments, you too could be the next guest. It'll be fun. Please do it. Alan will probably be a guest on.